I was so surprised because we had Seabiscuit before. This way, way ahead of Seabiscuit in so many ways. It's just great. The question I have as a director for you is it possible to film a movie about a horse without using slow motion?
What a great question, because I will tell you, that was the initial impulse for me about how I was going to direct this film. Like every shot in a horse racing movie seems to be like tending into that the audience is spectator. You know, I don't want the audience as spectator. I want the audience to be participants. That's what I wanted. I want to. What's it like? You know, forget what it's like to watch Secretariat. I understand that we have YouTube. What's it like to be Secretariat? I wanted to feel the speed, the dirt in your face, and the chaos of racing. And that necessitated a couple of big things. First of all, I got the greatest cinematographer I could imagine, Dean Simler, who shot Road Warrior back in, you know, a few years ago. He shot Dances with Wolves and got the Oscar. He shot We Were Soldiers, my most recent film. And it was a battle film. And I said to Dean, I don't know how to do this, but I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna capture this experience. And he said, I don't know how we're gonna do it either, but this is gonna be really exciting. And we found these tiny cameras, consumer cameras, that we used to shoot some of the races. And we delved into what the characters do when they're alone. And I think that's what gives the story its soul.
That's what tells you who a person is, or who. How close can you get to a horse when you're filming him? I mean, obviously you have to be on a track, right?
Yes, and that's a great question, because it's inherently dangerous. Horse racing is, and you add the component of trying to film it, and film it for real. I mean, I don't like pixels in movies. They divorce me from the reality. I want to see the flesh and blood, and I think the audience knows it when it is flesh and blood. It's unmistakable.
Yeah.
And horse racing, you know, can create danger for the animals and the jockeys, and I've never had anybody seriously hurt in a movie, and I wasn't going to start now.
Jam pressing Secretariat even faster. Secretariat refusing to yield, driving forward.
This is unbelievable. No horse can take this pace.
Jam pushing forward to challenge for the rail.
Come on, Ronnie. Come on.
3/4 of Blitzkrieg, 109 and 4. 109 and 4. Secretariat and Jam locked in a deadly duel.
It's sort of like boxing, filming boxing, isn't it? You have to be up close, you have to see the sweat and all of that. And
it is, and
wow.
and you know, I think Hollywood's greatest sin is contempt for the audience, the assumption that they won't really know. And they do know. We do know. I shoot films as an audience member.
Good for you. Good for you. You can feel it too. The wonderful thing, to my thinking, about taping, or filming horse races or boxing, whatever, is that there are so many climaxes.
Right.
You know, there's just one after another, and these are the greatest climaxes in racing history.
Yes.
But you did each one of them differently.
Yes.
And I wondered whether the Preakness was the real footage.
That was the real footage.
Was it?
And I hadn't planned to do that initially. I don't think of myself as a great planner. I do obsess, and I think about a story all the time. You know, once I'm in the pipe to make the movie, it's like you know, you don't get out of that pipe for 2 years. But planning, you know, you rely on a lot of great other filmmaking skills from other people to do these things. And I understood that each race had to be different. You know, that's another thing about potential audience contempt. People will say, well, the audience has a short attention span. I think the audience absorbs information much quicker than we give them credit for. So you don't want to show them the same thing over and over. And it struck me that one of the most beautiful parts of this movie was going to be when Penny is standing at the Belmont Ball the night before the big race and is dealing with the greater question which really organizes this movie, which is, what difference does it make if the horse wins or loses? What does it matter to her soul, to her family, to her future, to the horse. You know, what does it really mean? What's the nature of victory?
And that's such a deep, wonderful question. And I also wonder what it means to history and why it's important for it to be here with us now.
Yes.
For you to revive it a little. What does it mean? Why now?
Well, in every story I've been involved with, Braveheart, We Were Soldiers, you know, I was looking for the kind of moment when someone stands up and declares who they are. And it's often in that declaration that they're actually discovering who they really are. And we're in a world in which we constantly, I don't know that it's worse than ever, but in 1973, the nation was divided. People were cynical about their leaders. They looked at their future with a bleak outlook.
Wait, this is deja vu.
Deja vu. And along comes
really
this horse who is incorruptible and who believes that his run was an act of faith. I think when Secretariat broke out of the gate, he was running against those other horses. About halfway through the race, he was running against every horse who ever lived. But when he hit the finish line, I think he was running for the glory and the joy of running. And that's the way I want to live. That's the kind of story I want to share.
You're going to make me cry.